has served as the 12th president of San Francisco State University since September 1988. His current national activities include service on the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Anchor Institutions Task Force, the National Cancer Institute's Comprehensive Minority Biomedical Branch Task Force, and Commission on Access, Diversity, and Excellence of the Association of Public and Land Grant Universities. In San Francisco, Dr. Corrigan served 2 terms as chair of the Board of Directors of the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. Among his awards are the 2009 Distinguished Service Award from the Association of Public and Land Grant Universities, the 2009 San Francisco Business Times Most Admired CEO, and the Unsung Hero Award from the Jewish Community Relations Council, the Distinguished Community Service Award from the Anti-Defamation League, and the Standard Oil Foundation of Indiana Award for Excellence in Teaching. We are honored to have you with us, Dr. Corrigan.
Good morning. Oh, good, I heard that. All right, I'm going to keep it for just a few minutes before you go on to your test, but I couldn't let this group go away without knowing how proud the university feels being able to help sponsor this event. As I look out over an audience, I guess of about 350 rather bright and wide-awake students, dedicated students, who are aware of a greater world, or they wouldn't be here. The world beyond the borders of San Francisco, or of California, or of the United States. The last several months, I'm told, you have been immersing yourselves in one of our most complex global issues: how to feed a planet where great separations in wealth and health leave some groups struggling to obtain basic nutrition, while others, as we know in the case of far too many Americans, are dealing with obesity problems. How can we ensure that unawareness, indifference, global separation, or greed do not mean that anything goes when it comes to how to raise food, or indeed how to consume it? Is it okay to strip the soil of nutrients for future years if this year's crop will be a bigger money maker? Do we need to care when a rainforest dies because its ecosystem has been destroyed by big business? Does it make sense for crops to be raised in climates that are not designed to support them? For example, when huge amounts of water must be pumped into fields to keep those crops alive. All of you have been dealing with exactly these issues and many other related problems. Most impressively, the World Affairs Challenge has asked you to take a real-life problem-solving approach to the subject. By being a part of this project, you have just not been studying the world, but you've been coming up with ideas for action, what you might choose to do if indeed you were in charge. So I applaud World Savvy for creating this opportunity, and I applaud you for taking advantage of it. Now, I hope you also realize how important this program is. It represents far more than an academic requirement activity you get into college, or an excellent opportunity to sharpen the skills you will need when you enter the world of work. The World Affairs Challenge addresses a critical need in our society and in our educational system, preparing students like you for the kind of citizenship the 21st century demands. That is global citizenship. So again, I want to welcome you here today, those of you who are teachers, those of you who are members of the family, most of all those of you who are students learning to expand your horizons. Welcome to San Francisco State, and have a very successful day. Thank you.
President Corrigan. I'd now like to introduce our keynote speaker, Nikki Henderson. Nikki is the Executive Director of People's Grocery in Oakland, California. People's Grocery is a nonprofit organization working to improve the health and economy of the West Oakland community through a local food system, connecting the social determinants of health to economic justice and healthy eating. Nikki began her work in social justice through the foster care system in Southern California, having been raised with 7 older foster brothers. Through mentoring, tutoring, and directing foster youth empowerment workshops, she developed her passion for youth leadership development among communities of color. She later shifted into sustainability, developing a course curriculum for the University of California system and advocating across the state for environmental justice and political ecology. Welcome, Nikki.
Good morning. Oh, you're not awake. Everybody stand up. Get up, just get on up. Raise your hands above your head, wiggle your fingers. Lean over this way, stretch. Lean over this way, stretch. Now twist. Bring yourself out and yell out, I am a sponge. Okay, a little more energy there. I am a sponge. Bring yourselves out. All right, check it out. Now sit down. Now, if you start your day, every day, like that, you will never have a bad day. Guarantee it. Wake up and yell, I am a sponge. Exactly. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here with y'all. Give yourselves that round of applause, because you're the ones inspiring me. Looking out there, my 10-year high school reunion is coming up next year, and it's freaking me out because it's 10 years since I graduated from high school. But you have no idea how happy it makes me to see you sitting out there and to know that you're talking about things that affect our world today. Because when I was in middle school and when I was in high school, I dare say I was a bit clueless. But we can't afford to be clueless anymore. And things like the World Affairs Challenge and youth like you, they make me think that when I start having kids, they're gonna be okay. So I owe you a really big thank you, and I could not start without telling you that. But something that I wanted to talk about today was a bit about my story and a bit about why food is so important. When I was younger, now, I know this is before your time. Maybe some of your chaperones will know what I'm talking about. But when I was a kid, there was a TV show called Captain Planet. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Captain Planet, he's a hero, gonna take pollution down to 0. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I almost got arrested on a train in DC for singing that song, true story. But when I was a kid and I would watch Captain Planet, those of you that remember it, remember seeing a little African-American kid, a little Latino kid, a little Asian kid, a little white kid. They would all get together and they would fight environmentalism, or environmental problems together, right? That was my conception of the world when I was a kid. And then at some point I got older and realized that black folk don't really do the environmentalism thing. Somebody told me that. I don't know whether it was a teacher or my peers or what, but someone de-inspired me to talk about environmentalism. And I went on a long wayward path to find my way back. So also to see the diversity in this room, and to see that there's folks of all different shapes, sizes, colors, talking about food and talking about climate change, you have no idea how important that is to me. Because while I was a planeteer, when I was a kid, trying to figure out my way in the world and wondering why the heck we don't have a superhero with hair like the earth and skin like the sky, who can be all our powers combined. We need that right now. But while I was that kid, I was also the kid who had several great aunts and great uncles who were amputees because of diabetes. To this day, I was still that kid whose grandmother and aunt and almost everyone in her family had some kind of congestive heart problems. Diabetes is killing us. Diet-related diseases is killing us. So many communities. And that really hit home when I was a kid, you know? And my parents, knowing this, raised us to be very, very healthy kids. Very healthy kids. I don't know about y'all, but every day in the 3rd grade, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with an orange and a juice box. That was my lunch every day. And when we would complain to Dad that it wasn't enough food, you know, because we were trying to at least get some variety, he would put in 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with an orange and a juice box. And we had to beg for sugar. We thought we were the baddest kids in the world when he would bring home the Raisin Bran with the sugar crystals around it, not realizing that there was actually cereal with sugar crystals on the whole cereal. But we didn't have to know that, because not knowing that meant that we were truly healthy. And that's one of the things I loved my parents for, was raising us to be really, really healthy kids. Because now I'm a healthy adult, and now I want everyone to be able to be healthy. And those of you that have been doing food projects, who did food projects on health? Raise your hand. Hey, well, hi, guys, come on. I know it's early. All right, who did food projects related to climate change? Okay, all right, just a few. Who likes eating food? Yeah! Yell out if you like eating food. Exactly. I like eating food too. And I don't know if you know this. I'm sure you do. I'm sure some of you might live there. But there's communities in this country that don't have access to really good food. There's areas, there's whole cities in America where you have to drive for miles and miles and miles before you hit a grocery store. And I work in one of those communities in West Oakland, where there's 50 liquor stores and not one big grocery store. And it's really, really hurting the community because people can't go and get healthy food really easily. And healthy food is so important. It's so important for people. I really want to know from every one of you. Now, I'm not going to get to talk to every one of you before we go today. But I really want to know what drives you. And I want you to think about that today. Because something about food is that it connects people, but more importantly, it connects people's passions. When you sit down over a table and you eat a meal with someone that you don't like, there's automatically a bridge built. Has anyone ever had that experience where you're at a family dinner and your cousin is just pissing you off? They're just getting you, your brother, your sister, and then all of a sudden, yeah, raise your hands if you've ever had a brother or a sister or a cousin who's just, you want to get them. And do you know about that experience where once you've been eating the meal, somehow the tension seems to go away? And all of a sudden you're laughing at something that someone else did? All of a sudden the problems don't seem to be as deep. Y'all know what I'm talking about? That group knows what I'm talking about. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? All right. Just check. Wait, do y'all know what I'm talking about? All right, just check it. That is the healing power of food. That's why when people don't have access to food, it's not just an issue about healthy bodies when it comes to nutrition and diet, and it's not just an issue of culture, although those are two big issues, because the USDA food pyramid doesn't apply to everybody. There's people whose cultures have foods that we don't even know how to pronounce that are much healthier for them than anything the USDA food pyramid could talk about. But that's a whole other story. The thing I really wanted to talk about was what I just said, that connection and the healing power of food. That is core and that is central to why food is so important. Have y'all been doing international projects too, or just projects in the United States? Who did an international project? Okay, so that's most, I would assume, World Affairs Challenge. You're talking about the world. So you know then that the problem goes even deeper once you head outside of the United States. There's so many communities who are in such deep, deep need of food. There's actually a series of photographs, I don't know if you've seen these, where a photographer went to different communities in the world and photographed what their food intake is for a week. So you could see the difference between someone who lives in Indianapolis and what they eat, and someone who lives in the Sudan and what they eat, and someone who lives in Japan and what they eat, and someone who lives in Bangladesh and what they eat. The difference in what we eat on the planet is real. I know you know this because you just did the project. But some of the stories that you don't see when you do the research, which is why I'm so glad that some of you have the opportunity to actually travel to Bangladesh and to talk to your peers and to see the community. So one of the things that you don't see is the power of food when you do research projects. Food is an experiential kind of thing. You have to sit down over the table with someone. You have to go into a family in a community that you don't know, have them invite you to dinner, sit down with them and talk about what's important to them, which is why I asked you about your passions. Today, to get the experience of food, share your passions with one another when you're eating together. Don't stand in a corner eating your muffin, eating your apple by yourself. All right? Tell the truth. Who ate by yourself this morning? Raise your hands, raise them high. I'm telling you, come on. We ain't having that today, all right? All of you who ate by yourself, your homework assignment is to eat with someone today and discuss who you are in a deep way. Because that is the only way you're gonna connect who you are and what your drive in life is to whatever project you did today. You can't disconnect yourself from food. I'm losing you, and I'm wrapping up. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. If you can hear me, clap 4 times. All right, you're back. So to wrap up, what I want to emphasize is that you're beautiful, and that there is a way to take that beauty and to share it over a good meal. And there is a way, once you've shared your beauty and your passion and your purpose, to take that and share it with someone who doesn't have access to healthy food. If you want to learn more about what it is that I do, I encourage you to find out about People's Grocery. That's my organization. I'm not going to talk much about that today because the specifics of what I do are like the specifics of your project. They're very, very important, but they're my particular passion. And the thing that we all share today is that we have different passions, but the same underlying drive and beauty. And that's what I want you to share together today. Know that food binds us, food connects us, and there is a way for you to share it with those who don't have. Thank you.
Formal presentations and collaborative questions are going to be going throughout the day. We have 4 formal presentation blocks and 4 collaborative question blocks. And high school students are going to be doing their FPs in the morning.